It's now been nearly 2 months since the demo from our racing game Apex Rush came out. With over 50,000 downloads, a ton of great feedback has been given, and of course a massive list of suggestions to add to the game. So lately I've been trying to put together a complete roadmap for how a full game would look like, but I wanted to begin working on something which has been requested the most, which is a drift mode. The main focus lately has been perfecting the handling of the vehicles. If they don't handle well and the physics feel weird when you're playing, then that will just take away from the overall experience of the game. So when I began working on the drift handling, I pretty much had to change everything. The race handling had to be completely thrown out the window since that features super high grip and torque, and also switching the setup from all-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive. Figuring out a completely new mechanical setup, tweaking the friction multiplier, the lateral slip, cornering stiffness. These are just a small part of what I had to tweak for this car. I feel like I've been adjusting knobs and sliders endlessly for the past weeks. By getting the current wheel state for each tire in the code, you're actually able to set a value that determines whether or not the tire is skidding, or basically if the car is drifting or not. If this is set to true, then a skid sound is played, and if not, it just kind of fades out. I also use this pitch multiplier to modulate the sound so it's not too repetitive. Now the skid sound for now is just really a placeholder because I don't really think it sounds good enough. It's more just to give an idea of how it's gonna work later on. And the tire skid marks actually work in a pretty similar way. The code checks if the tire is skidding, and then it will actually spawn in a decal at a specific rate from the set contact point, being of course the tire surface. This took some tweaking to get accurate results, of course, the decals following the correct direction of the tires, but the end result I think turned out really good. So after 1 day of working on the drift car, I had this, which is far from finished. Handling was nowhere near as smooth as I wanted it, so that's what I worked closely on for the next few days. Now, since I didn't actually have any drift tracks made yet, I needed something to test the handling on with taking corners and stuff. I got this huge decal of an RC drift track and threw it in the world, which gave me a pretty solid outline of how a drift car would feel taking corners. The main thing that kept happening was either that the car was oversteering because of too much power from the back tires, or the grip being too snappy on transitions, which of course makes smooth transitions pretty much impossible. But after a couple of days, I actually managed to get the transitions to feel pretty smooth. The car feels easy to control at both high and low speeds. Now, since this version, I tweaked more and more settings to make it even better, but more on that in a little bit. I finally sat down to learn about the Niagara System in Unreal Engine, which allows you to create some really cool visual effects using emitters and particles. So something simple that I made was this spark, which I wanted to add when the car scrapes alongside a wall or at a big impact. To try it out, I made a simple system using a box collision on the car to activate the spark when it overlaps with something. This will not be the final code for it, as I think it can be done in way better ways, but yeah, for now, it's just a nice way to see how it would look like. Using the Niagara System, I also tried making some tire smoke that spawns when the code detects skidding from the tires with the same principles as the skid marks. Now, I played around with a few variations, but they either didn't look right or were too performance costly to be used in the game. So I looked through this VFX pack that I bought months ago, which actually came with a tire smoke emitter. So I attached that to the car, and it creates this really clean cloud now coming out from the tires. Now, I think I can figure out how to combine these two to make the drift smoke look really, really nice. Now, here's the current state of the drift car. Let me show you guys. It is really, really smooth. You just initiate the drift, and it just goes, and it's super easy to control. You can even hit jumps like this. And we can save this, land, and just keep on drifting. So we're gonna be able to make some really, really fun drift maps, since it still has that really nice jumping handling from the racing car. Yeah, it feels super, super smooth and with a ton of slow-mo here, so you can see the smoke behind the car right there. Now, obviously, I want the drifting to be very, arcadey, very smooth, very easy for really anyone to pick up, but of course, with the ability to make some pretty cool tracks and, get some nice transitions and this kind of vibe. Now, there's no sort of assist or anything. Of course, you can skid out. If I just fully accelerate, we'll skid out, as you can see. The feeling that I was going for with the drifting is kind of like CarX mixed with 5M. That's kind of my inspiration for this drift handling. Now, I'm probably going to tweak this even more to make it even better, but there will, of course, also be multiple cars in the game. This will not be the only car. We have the drift car being modeled right now, which is made by 7HC. It's currently an S15 blended with an RX-7. Now, this is still in early stages. Obviously, we need to add more details and body kits and stuff like that. And once the new car is finished, I'm gonna try and work on sound design. I really want to learn how to make a good sounding engine. I just really want a nice sounding engine with some turbo flutter as you're drifting around on some really cool tracks with some beautiful environments. Now, you might also be wondering, where are these tracks coming from that I'm currently drifting on? I've mentioned previously that one of the main things that we wanted to add to the game is a track building system, similar to like Trackmania, where people can create and share maps with each other. I've written down some ideas and I also made a rough sketch of how the track builder could sort of work. I bought this little sketch pad here, which is just super handy to have when you just want to, you know, sketch something out or just scribble down some ideas and concepts instead of having to create them in 3D straight away. Yeah, so about these track pieces, they are currently being modeled by 7HC, and I got the first batch to play around with the other day, but there will be a lot more variations in the final builder. So yeah, here's the test map that I just showed you guys. So basically, you guys will then be able to drag out pieces into the world, place them out, you know, rotate them around and snap them together on a grid so you guys can make a really cool map. So for example, you could just make a donut if you want a donut. And then we can just, yeah, drift around our endless donut here and just practice holding angles and different speeds and stuff like that. So yeah, now this is something that I definitely need help to develop to make it as good as it can be. So I actually had a meeting with a really talented developer who can help me build this system out and make it really good. So fingers crossed we can make that work. We still have some, yeah, details to figure out. I also went back to the track racing car and did an overhaul on the handling for that one as well. A lot of the feedback from the playtest was also that the game was a bit too hard. Now the map was built to be kind of challenging, of course, but I think people struggled the most because of the steering and grip being a bit weird. It was pretty fun watching some YouTubers actually try the game, and a lot of them had very kind things to say about it, but one thing I noticed was that the turning was too difficult for some, so it had to be improved.
I just assumed, you know, this game was going to be a piece of cake, you know, kind of like some of the other racing games that I play, but so far, this is not going well at all.
As you were turning with the old car and you let go, it will sort of snap you back instead of keeping the velocity of the car to where you're turning. And now, since I had learned more about handling when working on the drift car, I went in and solved this issue by going to the wheel handling again and changing the friction multipliers and the cornering stiffness. So now you're actually able to more easily control the direction of the car, and you can make minor adjustments at high speeds as well without spinning out. There's still an issue that happens sometimes when landing from a jump, that the rear sort of bounces off the ground. I think this was also noticeable on some parts of the playtest map. I still need to figure out how to make it more stable to ensure that when you're landing from a big jump, yeah, you're gonna be able to land clean. I'm really excited to continue building out this game and just truly take it to the next level. The planned modes at the moment is a track racing mode where you just compete for the best time, a drifting mode with challenges or just free play to just cruise around, and a new mode that I'm gonna try and figure out how to make, which will be a stunting mode. Obviously, I had to include a stunt mode. It is what I've been doing on this channel for the past 10 years, and I think I have some pretty cool ideas which, yeah, I haven't seen in any video game before. So if you're wondering why I haven't been posting as much, I've just been hard at work on this game, but I'm gonna try and be a bit more active from now on. Yeah, be sure to stay subscribed for more updates of Apex Rush. You can also join the Discord, where we also have a separate Apex Rush forum. And yeah, I'll catch you guys all again soon. Take care.